I have one more thing I want to talk about before I get into the questions. The third thing I want to talk about is I want to give an update on eating disorders. I've shared this on my channel before, and I kind of wanted to update everybody where I'm at with this. So as some of you know, or maybe you don't know, this might be new, I had a history of an eating disorder that I recovered. I want to say, this isn't an episode about the eating disorder, so I'm going to kind of like, say this quickly. I might, if you have any questions about that, or if you want me to do a full episode about my experience with an eating disorder, I could do that. But this is more just bringing up like something pretty interesting that I've noticed, like where I'm at right now with it. So in a nutshell, to try to, make the beginning of the story as quick as possible, I had an eating disorder. It started when I was about 22, 23-ish, maybe 24. I don't remember exactly when, but it was around that age, 22, 23, 24. I'm 34, going on 35 now. It started as an innocent, like, want or desire to improve my life. Like, I remember when I was 22 or 23-ish, whatever, I went through this phase where I, like, really just wanted to improve my life. I was a waitress in a restaurant, and I didn't really have any direction. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted my career to be. I wasn't even really like in college at this point. Like, I was taking college courses at a community college, like, but I didn't like have any goal, like, you know what I mean? So I just remember going through this motivational time in my life. So getting in shape was an honest, like, started as a healthy thing. But somehow that evolved into being addicted to the weight loss, so before you know it, I had a healthy desire just to lose 5 pounds. And then I guess there might have been some stress going on in my life at the time, and some, I guess you could say, maybe there was like suppressed psychological issues from the past that I was dealing with. I'm not sure exactly why this eating disorder happened, but regardless, in the process of trying to become healthier, I sort of became addicted to the weight loss. Like, every time I would lose a pound, I would feel this like euphoric, powerful feeling. And then like a week later, I'd be like, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And I wasn't really like looking at the big picture. And before you know it, I'm like less than 100 pounds. I'm probably going to show you guys a picture of my skinniest so you can see, the evolution of where I started and how I got here. It wasn't until I started having health issues that I decided I wanted to like start gaining weight again, because again, I was so hooked on like this feeling of control or power I had over my life, because probably my life felt very out of control at the time due to like personal issues that I was going through. That it really took me almost dying to realize like, oh, this isn't healthy, I remember it got to a point where I was less than 100 pounds and I was, I didn't get a menstrual period anymore. That was like my first sign that something needed to change. And then the second sign was that TMI, but I literally wasn't going to the bathroom anymore. And even though my body was like stick thin, yeah, that's a phrase, right? Stick thin. I don't know why, but it felt like it wasn't a phrase, but I think it actually is stick thin. Even though I had this very skinny body, my stomach was protruding and it was like this huge pot belly. And it almost made things worse because I'm like, I wanted to be skinny and then I had this huge pot belly. But then I had looked into it, and apparently, and I might include a picture of this as well, apparently this is a very common body figure in poor countries where people are starving, and it's called starvation mode. So starvation mode is when people have this like very skinny body but this huge pot belly, and what's happening, and you don't go to the bathroom. What's happening is your body is saying like, we need this food. We have to keep this food. So your body stops pooping, like literally, like your body just holds on to the food because it's like, dude, we need this food to survive. So you end up getting this huge pot belly. So it wasn't until the pot belly, like the starvation mode thing happened, and then me not getting my period anymore, that I was like, I need to, like, there's something seriously wrong. I know I said I wasn't going to get into too much detail about this, but I guess I just went for it, whatever. Fast forward, why I'm even bringing this up is that I didn't even realize until recently that I was still, to a degree, struggling with my eating disorder over the past few years. So after recovering from, that very skinny starvation mode and finally being able to put on weight for my health and for survival, I was able to get my body up to 120 pounds, and which was healthy, healthy enough to survive. But it didn't occur to me till really recently that even though I was healthy enough to live and I was getting my period again, I still had this like rigid control over the number 120 pounds. Like, it was like, okay, I got myself to this point where I was healthy enough to live, but I still had this like, I got to stay 120 pounds. It was like kind of like this, yes, I'm good enough, but I can't let go of this. Like, I have to hold on to this, because if I go over 120 pounds, I'm fat. Like, I had this kind of like mental barrier there where it was like this very rigid control. So even though I was healthy enough, you know what I mean, and I was doing well, it really didn't occur to me that that was still, to a degree, part of the eating disorder. And from what I understand, people who have disorders like that, it's not an overnight fix. Like, when you heal and you recover, it could take 10 years, and it did for me. What I want to bring up is that I actually think I'm over the eating disorder for the first time, because I'm now 140 pounds and I'm okay with it. And it's just wild to me. Like, I don't want to start crying or get emotional about it, just like talking about it with you, but it's completely wild to me that if you had asked me like even a year ago, like not even 2 or 3 years ago, if you had asked me over a year ago, you're going to be 140 pounds next year, that would have freaked me out. Like, that would have made me feel like I'm out of control. I'm fat. I'm disgusting. Like, it would have freaked me out. What ended up happening was, a couple of things contributed to the weight gain that I went through, and a positive weight gain, by the way, not like a negative weight gain. I gained 20 pounds this year. Like, when you think about it, I was 120 last year. I mean, 20 pounds is a significant amount of weight to gain in a year. I think where it started was I got a boyfriend, and I was really excited about like cooking. Like, I was like, oh, I have and this doesn't sound hip at all. It sounds like kind of like anti-feminist or whatever, but I really, like, I personally enjoy cooking for a man. It just kind of, it's like a sign of affection to me. Like, it's something I love doing. So I'm like, oh, I have a boyfriend now, I could start cooking things. So I was like cooking all these Italian, like, garlic bread, like things I wouldn't normally eat. Like, last year I was very like, no bread, no this, no that, no desserts, no that. Like, I was pretty strict with my diet. And now I'm like, ooh, I have someone to like cook for. So, you have to appeal to the person you're cooking for. So I was like, what do you like? And he's like, well, I like garlic bread and I like pasta. And I'm like, fuck it, like, I'll just make him what he likes. And in the process, I was trying all these foods. So I think at first I didn't gain the 20 pounds right away, but I think at that point I gained like 5 pounds. And I remember feeling some resistance there and feeling like kind of stressed about it. Like, I was like, oh shit, I'm gaining weight, I need to get this under control. So the resistance was still there. It wasn't until really the past like 3 months that the rest of the weight gain happened, like the extra 15 pounds that brought it up to 20 pounds, for a few reasons. One, I was moving. So during the moving process, I had packed all my cooking gear, you know what I mean? So I didn't have time to cook for a few weeks because I wanted all my things packed. So I had like, for probably 2 weeks, I was just ordering out every day. And even if you're ordering like things that you think are healthy, you don't have any control over like what they put in the food. So started gaining weight there. And then immediately after that, my boyfriend and I moved in together in November. Well, then the holidays hit. So it was like all those things combined. Like, so cooking the food for my boyfriend, moving, and then 2 holidays back to back, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it was just like all these things where I was just eating all this extra food. And then before you know it, I was 140 pounds. And I was like afraid to weigh myself during this because I could feel my body gaining weight. But for the first time, like, I'm okay with it. And that's just crazy to me because in the past, the idea of being 140 pounds was so scary. But like, there is seriously something wrong with my brain at the time, because I'm going to include pictures between last year and this year. When I was 120 pounds, I actually saw a fat person in the mirror. And that's crazy. Like, the way perspective and like our brains are so powerful, and our brains will play tricks on us. And I'm bringing this up because this might relate to somebody else for something completely different. Like, it doesn't have to be weight. It could be like personal issues that you have by yourself. Like, you know, if you're a musician, you might think, oh, I'm a terrible saxophone player. I suck. I'm a bad father. I'm a bad this. Like, if you're hypercritical of yourself, and sometimes you should be, and sometimes those things are true, and self-analysis is a good thing. But if you're like psychologically in a rough place over your confidence, like, this is proof that what you see in the mirror, metaphorically, because it might not be about your appearance, isn't always real. Because back then I thought I was fat, and now I can really see myself clearly, and I'm like, holy shit, I look so much younger and healthier at 140 pounds than I did then, and I was younger then. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is crazy. Not to mention too, like, another side perk of this is that, you know, we're getting a little shallow here, but it is part of it too, is that growing up, I always got poked fun at for having small breasts. And like, I do comedy roasts, and that's always like the butt of the joke at the comedy roast, is that like, they always say like, oh, she's flat, she has no tits, whatever. I actually have breasts for the first time, which is like, and granted, they're still small, like, compared, like, you know, because your body, you know, your genetics are your genetics. Like, if I had huge tits, they would have been still there, even if I was skinny, probably. So they're still like small, but I went from being like pretty flat chested to like a B cup, which is, to me, like it feels like it's exciting. Like, I always, growing up, I always heard a lot of my guy friends saying like, if I was a woman, like, for a day, all I would do is play with my tits all day. Like, that's literally all I would do. And I always thought like, guys are so fucking weird. Like, what are they talking about? But actually, now that I've experienced that, that's literally true. Like, I went from having no breasts to actually having something, and like, literally all day long, like, if I'm like reading a book, I'll look down and be like, oh, hey, like, I'll just like, it's just like, I don't know, it's like exciting. I've never had them before, so it's just like, it never occurred to me that the reason I didn't have them was because I was malnourished. Like, I thought I was just flat, you know? So that's cool. I don't know. That's like a cool part of it is, and you know, without being shallow about it, it means I'm a healthy woman too. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. I don't know. I kind of wanted to bring that up, you guys. I wanted to get it off my chest, and I wanted to see if that would help anybody as well who might be doubting themselves, or might be looking, you know, might be thinking there's something they're not, because it could be in your head. It could be, and some of the things could be true. Like, I don't want to like mislead anybody. Like, I mean, if you're genuinely in a place where you need to work on yourself, whether it's your weight or your skills, like, yeah, analyze yourself and work on yourself. But also realize that if you're depressed about an element of yourself that is controlling you, it might be all in your head, you know? And shout out to anybody else who has gone through an eating disorder or is currently going through one. I just want to say it's not easy, and it could take years to get over, but keep trying. That's all I have to say, is like, just keep trying to get better, and you will get better eventually. Okay, moving on to the questions. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.